The Galactic Council had ruled the stars for 10,000 years. Their laws were simple and absolute. No species could attack another without cause. No military force could strike civilian targets. No empire could ignore the Council's judgment. These laws kept peace among 500 worlds. Then humanity arrived. The humans came from a small blue planet in the outer rim. They were young, barely 2 centuries into space travel. The Council welcomed them as they welcomed all new species, with polite smiles and quiet dismissal. Humans were weak. Their ships were slow. Their weapons were primitive. They would take their place among the lesser races and cause no trouble. The Council was wrong. Admiral Marcus stood on the bridge of the Earth vessel Defiance, staring at the transmission that had arrived 3 hours ago. His hands shook. His jaw was tight. Around him, his crew worked in silence, but he could feel their rage like heat from a fire. The message showed. Eden 7, the colony world where 30,000 humans had built new lives, where children played in red dirt and farmers grew wheat under an orange sun, where people had believed they were safe under the Council's ancient laws. The Krell Empire had turned it into ash. "Play it again," Marcus said. His voice flat. The young officer at communications hesitated. "Sir, we've all seen. Play it again." The screen flickered. The footage was from a satellite that had survived the attack. It showed Krell warships dropping from the sky. Not military targets. Not defense stations. They hit the cities first. The schools. The hospitals. Weapons designed to burn flesh, not destroy buildings. Weapons meant to make people suffer. The Krell were one of the Council's oldest members. They were merchants and politicians. They had grown fat on trade and soft from centuries of peace. But they were also proud. When human traders had refused a bad deal, when human merchants had outbid them for mining rights on 3 resource worlds, the Krell had felt insulted. So they had broken the galaxy's oldest law. They had murdered civilians. Marcus turned off the screen. Status on the Council's response? His second officer, a woman named Rita, looked up from her station. Her eyes were red. She had family on Eden 7. Had family. "The Council met 6 hours ago, sir." The Krell ambassador claimed it was a military action. Syed Eden 7 was building weapons. Said humans were a threat, and the Council believed them? Rita's voice cracked. The Council said, "They said both sides need to show restraint. They said there should be an investigation. They said it would take time." She paused. "They're doing nothing, sir. They're letting the Krell walk away." Silence filled the bridge. Every person there understood what this meant. The Council's laws were only for those strong enough to matter. Humanity was new, weak, and alone. Their dead didn't count. Marcus walked to the main view screen. Outside, the rest of the human fleet waited. 23 ships. Not much compared to the Krell's 300. Not much compared to the massive fleets of the Council's elder races. But it was enough. "Send a message to all Earth ships," Marcus said. "Tell them to prepare for combat operations." Rita stood. "Sir, if we attack the Krell, the Council will do what?" Marcus turned to face her. His eyes were cold. "Condemn us? They already ignore us. Punish us? They already let our people burn. The Council's laws mean nothing if they only protect the strong." He looked around at his crew. Young faces. Scared faces. Angry faces. "The galaxy has laws," Marcus said. "But those laws were broken the moment Krell ships opened fire on our families. The Council won't give us justice." He paused. "So we'll take it ourselves." Rita nodded slowly. Around the bridge, others did the same. "Set course for the nearest Krell outpost," Marcus ordered. "Battle speed. No warnings. No mercy. The Defiance turned toward the darkness between stars. Behind it, 22 other human ships followed. The Galactic Council would learn a truth that day. A truth humans had known for thousands of years. Written in the blood of their own savage history, when the law fails, violence speaks. And humanity had always been fluent in violence. Asterisk the Krell outpost at Sector 9 was a trading hub. 300 merchants. 5,000 civilians. 12 defense platforms that had never fired a shot in anger. The human fleet arrived at dawn. They didn't broadcast warnings. They didn't demand surrender. The first the Krell knew of the attack was when their defense platforms exploded into clouds of metal and fire. Marcus watched from the yaw. Defiance as human missiles tore through Krell shields like paper. The aliens had built their defenses to stop other council races, species who fought with honor, who followed rules, who gave chances for retreat. Humans followed no such rules. Target their command center, Marcus ordered. Then their communications array. Then their fuel depot. Rita worked her console with quick precision. Sir, there are civilians in those structures. There were civilians on Eden 7, Marcus replied. His voice was ice. The Krell had taught humanity a lesson. Now humanity would teach them one in return. The outpost burned. Krell escape pods launched into space, fleeing the destruction. Marcus let them go. He wanted survivors. He wanted witnesses. He wanted the galaxy to see what happened when you broke the law, and thought you could hide behind the council. The human fleet jumped to the next target before the fires had even died. Across the galaxy, the council watched in horror. The Krell Empire had 57 outposts scattered through the outer systems. In 3 days, humanity hit 20 of them. The attacks were surgical, brutal, and terrifying. Human ships moved faster than the Krell could respond. Human weapons struck with precision that shouldn't have been possible from such a primitive race. The Council had made a mistake. They had assumed human ships were slow because they looked simple. They had assumed human weapons were weak because humans were new to space. They had never asked what humans had been building in secret. Earth had spent 200 years in space, but it had spent 10,000 years at war with itself. Every human ship carried weapons refined through centuries of killing other humans. Every human tactic was born from blood-soaked history. While the council races had grown soft in their long peace, humanity had never forgotten how to make war. They fight like demons, a council observer reported. They don't stop. They don't negotiate. They just kill and move on. The Krell ambassador stood before the council, his blue skin pale with fear. You must stop them. This is against every law. This is barbaric. The council leader, an ancient being named Elder Voss, studied the Krell with cold eyes. You broke the law first. You attacked civilians. That was different. That was different? Elder Voss leaned forward. How? The Krell ambassador had no answer, but the council couldn't allow this to continue. Human revenge was making a mockery of their authority. They sent a message to Marcus, demanding he stop the attacks and accept council mediation. Marcus's response was broadcast across every council channel. He stood on his bridge, blood on his uniform from a boarding action 2 hours earlier. Behind him, his crew worked with grim determination. He looked directly into the camera, and his eyes held no mercy. I received your message, Council, Marcus said. You ask us to stop. You offer mediation. You promise justice. He paused. Where was this justice when Eden 7 burned? Where was this mediation when 30,000 humans died? Where were your promises when we came to you with evidence of Krell war crimes? Elder Voss watched the transmission with growing dread. You taught us the galaxy has no justice, Marcus continued. You taught us that laws only protect those you deem worthy. You taught us that human lives mean nothing. His voice grew harder. So we'll create our own justice. We'll write our own laws. And we'll teach the galaxy what happens when you murder our families." He stepped closer to the camera. The Krell wanted to test human resolve. Now they'll learn what humanity does to those who harm our children. We'll burn every Krell military base. We'll destroy every Krell war fleet. We'll hunt them through every star system until they beg for mercy. Marcus's eyes were empty of all emotion except rage. And when they beg, we'll remember Eden 7. We'll remember our dead. And we'll show them exactly as much mercy as they showed our people. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, species that had dismissed humanity as weak and primitive now felt a cold fear. The Krell Empire, which had ruled for 3,000 years, began to understand the terrible mistake they had made. They had awakened something the galaxy had never seen before. They had made an enemy of humanity. Asterisk. The Krell homeworld was called Krell Prime. It orbited a yellow star and held 12 billion souls. For 3,000 years, it had known only peace. Its cities gleamed with towers of glass and steel. Its people had forgotten what war looked like. They would remember now. The human fleet arrived 6 weeks after Eden 7 burned. 40 ships this time. Earth had sent reinforcements. Every human vessel that could fly had joined Marcus's crusade. They came from mining colonies, trading posts, and exploration ships. They came because Eden 7 could have been their home. Those dead could have been their families. The Krell Defense Fleet met them at the edge of the system. 300 warships, the pride of their empire. They outnumbered the humans 7-1. That it wasn't enough. That the battle lasted 4 hours. Human ships moved like wolves among sheep, striking and vanishing before the Krell could respond. Human missiles found weak points in Krell armor that shouldn't have existed. Human tactics used maneuvers that council races had deemed too dangerous, too reckless, but humans had been reckless for their entire history. It was what made them human. When the Krell Defense Fleet broke and ran, Marcus didn't pursue. He pointed his guns at Krell Prime and opened a channel to the planet below. "This is Admiral Marcus of Earth," he said. "Your empire attacked our colony. You killed 30,000 civilians, women, children, people who had done nothing to you." He paused. The Galactic Council did nothing. They called for investigations and patience. They asked us to wait for justice that would never come. On Krell Prime, billions watched their sky fill with human warships. "I'm not here to destroy your world," Marcus continued. "I'm not here to kill your families. That would make us like you." His voice hardened. "But your military ends today. Every warship, every weapons platform, every base. We'll burn them all. And if your government resists, if they fire one shot at my ships, then we'll target your cities the way you targeted ours." The Krell government surrendered within the hour. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. Elder Voss stood before the assembled representatives of 500 worlds. The chamber was silent. Everyone had watched the battle. Everyone had seen what humans could do when pushed too far. "The humans have violated our laws," the Krell ambassador said, his voice shaking. "They must be punished. They must be—" "Enough," Elder Voss said quietly. The chamber went still. "You came before this council 6 weeks ago," Elder Voss continued. "You claimed Eden 7 was a military target. You lied. We knew you lied. But we did nothing because—" He paused. "Because humans were new. Because they were weak. Because their dead didn't matter." The Krell ambassador's mouth opened, but no words came. "The humans taught us something," Elder Voss said. "They taught us that our laws mean nothing if we don't enforce them equally. They taught us that weakness is not a reason to deny justice. They taught us that if we fail to protect the innocent, others will take justice into their own hands. He turned to face the entire council. We created this situation. We allowed the Krell to break our most sacred law. We dismissed human suffering. And now we've seen the result. Elder Voss looked at the display, showing human ships holding position over Krell Prime. Humanity will have a seat on this council, he declared. Their votes will carry the same weight as any other member. And we will create a new law. Any attack on civilians by any species will result in immediate and total council response. No investigations. No delays. No politics. He paused. We will call it the Eden Law. The vote was unanimous. Marcus received the council's decision on the Bridge of the Defiance. Rita stood beside him, reading the official document. We won, she said quietly. The council is changing their laws. They're giving us a seat at the table. Marcus nodded slowly. He felt tired. So very tired. It cost 30,000 lives to teach them that lesson, he said. Outside the ship, the stars burned cold and distant. Down below, Krell Prime waited in fear for human judgment that would never come. Marcus had made his point. The galaxy would remember. Send a message to the fleet, Marcus ordered. We're going home. The human ships turned away from Krell Prime. They left behind a broken empire and a changed galaxy. The Council's laws now had teeth. The weak now had protection. But every species in the galaxy had learned something else that day. Humanity was no longer the weak newcomer to be dismissed and ignored. Humanity was the species that kept its promises. The species that protected its own. The species that would burn the stars, themselves to avenge their dead. The galaxy had broken its own laws, and humanity had struck back with blood. Now there was a new law. A better law. A law written in the ashes of Eden 7 and enforced by human rage. The galaxy would be more careful now. More just. More aware that every life mattered, whether human or alien. Because if they forgot, humanity would remind them. Again. Asterisk.